Welcome back, everybody, to the Church of the Tone Priest. Here we are. We're working on our Blackface Fender Deluxe style clone here. It's kind of a basic amp. It's only going to have one input. It's going to be no reverb, no tremolo, so not very deluxe at all. So I think we're going to call this one the Basic Man. But anyway, if you missed part one, this is where we're at. I'll get a little light in here. We got all the big chunky stuff bolted down. We got the board over here. And this board, well, this circuit is a Rob Robinette RR763 Black Vibe 6v6. Very, very, very similar to a Blackface Fender amplifier circuit. And Hoffman Amplifiers builds a board specifically for this design. Link in the description. That's where that came from. So before you fire up the soldering iron, we got a few more things we needed to bolt on. The pilot light, we got that socket in there. Here she is, looking all nice and crooked. What else do we need to do? We need to figure out where we're going to put, has a bias pot and a balance pot for your output tubes. So we need to find a spot for those. I can't seem to locate them right now. Here they are. Got this guy here, this guy here. So we'll use this guy for bias and this guy for balance. So we need to find a spot for those because we're running out of space real quick over here. And then need the on-off switch. And while we're at it, may as well at least temporarily stick the controls in. And there will be a volume, treble, bass, and middle control. And then we can start soldering. So if that all sounds interesting to you, and I don't know why it would, but if it does, hang tight. Here we go. All right, we got our jacks and our pots and our switch and our indicator light in there, at least temporarily. Kind of a shame I had to cut a new hole for this guy because this thing already has a ton of extra holes. But if and when this amp works out and it's awesome, I'll eventually get a piece of metal to cover this up, and I'll make a nice faceplate for it, and no one will ever know. But yeah, that should work fine. Just don't stick your fingers in there. And this is what it looks like on the back side. A little light in here. Yeah, very nice. All right, so now we just need to find a spot. Uh-oh, man down. We need to find a spot for those two guys. And then we'll start populating the board. Alrighty, we got our trim pots in there, one for balance and one for bias. That other pot I had there was only a 1K, I didn't realize that. That would be like a fine tuner. And Rob is calling for the balance, he wants a 25K, and for the bias, he wants a 50K. But we'll use our 210Ks. I don't think the balance is really going to matter, unless the tubes are way whacked out. But the bias, that'll be fine. We just may have to go in and change the negative voltage bias resistor if, you know, we can't get the plate dissipation as what we need it. But that's a problem for future issues, whatever, you know what I mean. And that's what it looks like on the other side. And yeah, these two pots will be better because that other pot had a big knob sticking down, and you know, guitar players, oh, what's this thing do?
I'm starting to smell some burning. Wow, that is awesome. Look at that. Beauty and destruction. Ooh, more green stuff. I'm at 110 volts. Whoa, sparklies. There it goes. Something fried. Oh yeah, I think I see what happened there.
That thing will blow up your tubes. So alright, there we go. Hopefully that position in the chassis is acceptable. I think it'll be okay. But alright, let the real fun begin. Let's populate. Little progress update here. About 25% way through populating the board. dog approves. Somebody at the door?
I know when horses are happy! Man, this one's gonna be really weird tonight.
So anyway, pardon me. I'm just sort of tacking stuff in here now to kind of get everything sort of in its place, and then I'm going to go back and make it pretty. Obviously, this is kind of bogus the way it is, but hopefully this will all look nice when it's done. And I'm also, in the past, I bought a bunch of stuff, an old tech that was getting out of the business, sold all his stuff. So I'm using a bunch of the capacitors and stuff that he had that I normally wouldn't purchase, like this orange drop and the Mojo Dijon here. Using a lot of the stuff that that I bought off of him, and just sort of as an experiment. But anyway, getting there. A little more to go. Moving right along. Got all the components populated into the board, and they're tacked in there, and now we're just adding the wires. Got the power plug all hooked up. And we have the black wire from the plug going into the back of the fuse, coming out of the top of the fuse, going into the common of the switch, and then on the bottom pole of the switch that goes into the black wire of the primary of the power transformer.
Here's where the fun begins.
Comes out in the white wire of the primary, and then it goes to the common on the other side. It's a double pole switch, and then it goes back into the plug. Pretty simple stuff here. And we got the heaters all wired up. Now we're doing the B+ supply. Good stuff. Still going. It's just a lot of monotonous work connecting wires to lugs. Yeah, it seems like I've been doing this for days. But getting there. Almost done.
Years later.
We are back. That last clip you saw was from last weekend, and this clip is from this weekend. This clip actually is from right now. Check your calendars. Anywho, as you can see, I've done a bunch of work here. Ran out of time last weekend, but it's actually pretty surprising. I was basically able to put together an amp over a weekend, which is a miracle in itself. But that being said, you know, being on a marathon work spree, well, mistakes were made. Anyway, got everything all hooked up and fired it up, and it seemed pretty good. Made noise, sounded like an amp. Sounded a little off, especially in hindsight. But there was definitely a hum problem, which I could not figure out. And also I added, which I have since removed, but I did add a presence control. And when I fired up the amp, the presence control had to be turned all the way up, or else the amp was just unusable. So, trying to figure out what's going on with the hum problem. I initially thought, you know, maybe I botched the presence control, so I started, I tore that apart and put it back to standard, and the presence control is a modification on the negative feedback. And you can see there's quarter-watt resistors here. I only had quarter-watt of the values needed. I wanted to use the exact values to try and troubleshoot this. I did get 1-watt resistors in the mail a couple of days ago, so we'll replace those. And this guy got a little kiss from the soldering iron. Anyway, ripped out the presence knob, still had the hum problem. And then I'm like, what else is going on here? Rolled all the tubes 2-3 times over, still had the problem, still had the problem, still had the problem. And finally, I ended up, the heck did I do?
Oh, confound it! Back, you scavenging bear! Back to the primeval forest and stay out of my garbage pail!
Oh yeah, now I remember what happened. Okay, so I'm troubleshooting. I swapped the leads from the secondary of the output transformer to the tubes. And I don't know if you can see in there. There's usually a brown lead and a blue lead. There's the blue one. That's the wrong tube. There's the brown one. And all the layouts that I use, they have the brown lead going here and the blue lead going here. But I'm thinking, you know, every clone that I've built, I've installed these backwards. So I'm thinking maybe the classic tone transformers, which are, you know, generally what people use when that make those layouts. The leads are swapped. I don't know. I mean, you'd think you get them backwards 50% of the time, but whatever. I'm 100% of the time. Batting 1,000.
High fly ball to right. Back at the wall. It is gone. Pinch hit, 3-run home run, Moreland. And the Red Sox are within a run.
Anyway, I didn't think that was the problem because when you have the leads reversed, usually it's accompanied by a horrible squeal. But that really wasn't happening. But I swapped those and took care of the weird, distorted yuckiness to it, and it sounded like a real amplifier. But I was still getting a bunch of hum, and I could not figure out what it was. So I started measuring voltages, and when I turned the amp on and I checked the AC going to the rectifier tube, it was spot on. It was like 336. And then once the tube started to conduct, it would tank down to like 270. And it's like, I've seen this before. And we want to give a big shout out to Psionic Audio. He just recently did a video on a like a Dumble clone, and he was having problems with his negative voltage, you know, sucking power from the positive voltage. And yeah, that's what I did. This, yeah, I totally screwed the pooch on this. Instead of having this guy, I totally didn't have this guy here, our negative voltage wire, going to the bias pot hooked up. I just had a ground from here to here, and yeah, that was obviously bad. But we sorted it out, and thanks to that video, it was easy to troubleshoot once I started doing some measurements. And yeah, here we are. We got a great sounding amplifier. Super quiet. It's nice. So, again, I did a bunch of work during the week, and I didn't do any filming because, you know, day job and stuff, and tired and whatever. But I did a little bit every night, and here we are. So I think what I'm going to do now is just swap out these quarter watts with 1 watts. Where's the other one? There he is. He's down in here. And then, yeah, take it from there. See what's left to do. Hang tight. They say that happiness is a belt-fed weapon. Oh yeah. Stop resisting. Alright, got the new resistors in there. Gave the capacitor another little kiss. But I think we're ready to fire up and see where we're at. Oh my lord. What should have been the simplest thing in the world turned out to be an exercise in troubleshooting skill building. So I replaced the negative feedback resistors as previously stated, powered up the variac and the amplifier, and then absolutely nothing.
Very special because if you can see, the numbers all go to 11.
And yeah, it took me quite a while to figure out what the hell was going on. I rolled tubes, and then as I was rolling tubes, I realized one of the tubes, the plates were not conducting because the tube was ice cold. So, you know, you think, oh, is it a bad vintage tube? No, it's not that. And I thought it might be the, I have a 1 ohm resistor going between the cathode and ground. Replace that. That didn't change it. And I just had no idea what the hell was going on here. And then finally, I was probing around, and I checked the voltage here, and I was getting positive voltage. And apparently, I kissed this guy one. Hold on a second. Hey, hold on a second, buddy. I kissed this resistor one too many times. But yeah, it was a marathon. All right, now I gotta go answer the door. So the troubleshooting continues. Did I mention that I absolutely abhor troubleshooting? I just like shit to work right. Anyway, a problem I've been having the whole time is the reason I put these 1 ohm resistors from the cathode pin to ground is so I can just measure the voltage drop and get the current in Ohm's law of the bias that way. The whole time this tube was reading good, but this tube over here I was not getting any readings. And the amp sounded really good, so I assumed maybe, you know, the probe just wasn't getting through the flux, or a bad, I don't know, just couldn't get a good probe connection to that. But nope, that wasn't the problem. This whole rigmarole here with the balance pot, I don't think I wired anything wrong, but I took it out of circuit, and we put the bias pot back to Leo Fender spec, and yeah, now everything's working good. The way I figured that out is I had to hook up my bias probe, and it was reading like 0.001 milliamps or something. So yeah, that was not good. Not good at all. And that, yeah, anyway. Moving right along. Seems to be, we're making forward progress. I think we're almost done here. So I'm going to get rid of all this junk, and we'll live without a balance pot. But we still have the bias pot. So, yeah, let's do that. Before we take it for a test drive, this is what we got going on here. We have a 10-inch Eminence Legend 1058. It's a 75 watt speaker, which would normally, in normal circumstances, would be a little bit overrated for this amplifier. But this sucker is kicking out the jams. So, and it sounds really good with it. So we're, yeah, the dog likes it, so we're going to let it fly. And we got it at biased at 7.4. Which is a little cold, but we're still on the current limiter. Once we take it off the current limiter, we'll bias these suckers up right. And they're 6v6 GTA, so they can actually run a little bit hotter. So here we go. Finally, I think we have ourselves a working proper amplifier. Oh, there's a little swoosh here, so the little coupling cap. I forget what it is, a 200 pico or something like that. 200 nano, 200 picofarad. That was an old stock. We'll get rid of that because that's leaking like 3 volts DC into the volume pot. But anyway, that's an easy fix. Well, so were the 2 friggin' negative feedback resistors. That was supposed to be an easy fix too. But anyway,
5 parts to do a basic build. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. But anyway.
Besides that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Here we are. This sucker is loud as hell.
Right across the board. 11, 11,
and most of
11.
Dude, this friggin' amp is so friggin' loud. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's not shaking the whole house, but if you're sitting in front of it like I am in the direct line of fire, it's like instant permanent hearing damage.
I like that a lot. I'm no schoolboy. I know what I like.
Alright, so I'm 99% positive this is blowing up the camera microphone, so yeah, maybe we'll mic it up, maybe we won't. If we don't mic it up right now, we'll make another video. We'll record something. Yeah, but there you go. Fender Blackface Deluxe, sort of, for the most part. The dog likes it. Rock on.
It's not Angela Lansbury, it's a chicken!
Done.